hello. I'm Heather McLean, editor at SVG Europe and head of SVG Europe Women. Thank you for coming. It's been a little while since we've been at IBC. So, over the last year, we've been able to have, get back to in-person events, and SVG Europe Women has put on 2 fantastic in-person events this year with our fantastic partners in crime, QTV and Sky Sports. In March, we had the first ever SVG Europe Women Scotland event up in Glasgow with QTV, and in July we had a fantastic event with Sky Sports in their brilliant cinema, and both those were huge successes, and everyone got to meet up and learn and be inspired. It was really, really good. But a key theme that came out of both of those events was about the amazing job opportunities that there are in sports broadcasting, particularly behind the camera. There's so much that is involved in this industry, millions and millions of jobs. But also the fact that there's a skill shortage, a rather large one, and that needs to be filled. There's so many jobs and there just aren't enough people to go round. So there's a bit of a battle going on there. And we spoke about it at a sports production summit on Thursday too. So how to overcome this skill shortage challenge and find the people, get those bums in seats and OBs and remote production centres and all that kind of stuff. No one has the answer exactly, but we do know that there are a lot of people out there that can fulfil those roles. They are women, they're people of colour, they're kids from council estates with sloppy accents like me, and they're military veterans, and they're people from other industries that have transferable skills, but they just don't know that these jobs are here, and that's definitely the issue. So what we need to get across is the breadth and depth of all these different roles and how you can get into this industry and how you can make a difference over here, because it's an exciting place to be. It's a sexy side of broadcast. SVG Europe Women is trying to help. I've got a cunning project that I've been working on for some time, like over a year, to try and help get that message out there. So hopefully more on that later this year. But in the meantime, this is the forum where we can really make things happen. This is the place to find contacts, inspiration and ideas. And together we can help solve issues like the talent shortage in sports broadcasting. This industry needs people to push it forwards. And you're them. So you're here, you care, and change comes from within. So each of you has the ability to go back to your company and kick your boss somewhere and to say, to start pushing for change, to start headbutting quietly in the corner, On that note, hopefully you're slightly fired up and ready and you've got a glass of wine in your hands. I am going to be talking to the amazing Vili Nedialkova in a second, but before that we're going to hear from the gorgeous Judith Franson, who is key account and project manager for EMG Belgium. And EMG is SVG Europe Women's supporter sponsor for 2022, and we are very, very grateful for all the support they've given us this year. So over to you, Judith.
Thank you, Heather, for this very nice introduction. Ladies, girls, colleagues, welcome. We're here to talk about women in sports and women in the industry. And when we talk about girl power, we've just lost one leading figure, Queen Elizabeth II. Our condolences to the royal family and to any one of her beloved ones. When you think about it, when she started, women were supposed to be in the kitchen. I remember my first IBC a long time ago. We were still in SD. A woman came up to me and she said, "Where are the women?" There were women, but they were behind the counters. So I'm glad to see you here. There are more women, but there's still a lot to do. I understand that women in sports unite because we can relate to sport, we can identify ourselves with the athletes, and diversity and inclusion is a big topic in sports. I mean, when I think about sports, when I'm playing tennis, sometimes I think I'm Serena Williams. And besides offering great tennis, she also made room for emotions on the tennis court. Another leading lady in sports is Megan Rapinoe, the US soccer star. And when we talk about sports, Formula One, we have the race strategist for Red Bull. That's a woman, that's Hannah Schmidt. And who is in pole position? Red Bull's Max Verstappen. And the head of TV production at Formula One is also a woman, Wendy Hendricks. So that's really good. Those are women we can relate to. But when I talk about bringing more women on board in the industry, I often get the remark, often from my male colleagues, do you want to favor women? No, but how can we make that women feel attracted to the industry? How can we make them feel comfortable and engage and become part of our industry? And when they've started working in the industry, how can we keep them on board? We all go through different phases in life, especially women. We should support them, anticipate, and offer them opportunities to stay and work with them and develop careers over the time. EMG would like to commit and help women and relate and offer opportunities to network. Therefore, I would like to announce that we want to organize the first SVG Europe Women's Benelux event beginning next year, somewhere in the Benelux. More details will be communicated. In the meantime, I want to say, let's connect, let's get to know each other and bring women on board. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Judith. That was fantastic. Okay.
Thank you.
Right. Fab. So, for those of you that don't know the absolutely wonderful woman sat next to me, Vili Nedialkova, or Vili to her friends, has had a career that literally epitomises the term epic. At our Sports Production Summit on Thursday here in Amsterdam, Vili was awarded the SVG Europe 2021 Outstanding Contribution to European Sports Broadcasting Award. And also last autumn, she was awarded the International Olympic Committee's Lifetime Commitment Award, also known as the Golden Rings Award. Vili's taken part in 20 Summer and Winter Olympics, 11 Paralympics, 11 FIFA World Cups, 10 World Athletics Championships, and many, many more events over the last few decades. Yet she's only ever had 3 jobs. Starting with Bulgarian National TV in 1975 in her homeland, where her first in sport happened with the Argentinian World Cup in 1978, and in 1980, her first Olympics, which was held in Moscow. On to host broadcaster Radio Television Olympica in 1991, which was the predecessor of Olympic Broadcasting Services, to cover the 92 Barcelona Olympics. While there, she was headhunted by German broadcaster ZDF, where she's remained for the duration of her career, which she retired from, sort of, at the end of 2021 as International Sports Coordinator. So, 29 years at ZDF, how was that for you?
Challenging, and I must say it passed very quickly. It's like a marathon with hurdles, I would say, shortly.
Good. So you've had a career that has spanned nearly 5 decades in sports broadcasting, and frankly, you've seen it all, literally. So what have been the sporting highlights for you?
Well, I think you always remember your first event and your last event, among the others. My first was Argentina 78, the World Cup. For me, really a first, almost no experience in TV, very eager to learn. First time meeting broadcasters from all over the world, traveling so far around the ocean in a very complicated political situation. And it was a fascinating event because it was still the time where also small broadcasters could survive. So I witnessed like one-man shows from South American broadcasters who had sent only one person to cover the event, and they did it as successfully as other broadcasters who came with a big armada to follow their team. So this was very important, and the event was successful. Obviously my job too, because I was invited to join this kind of jobs also for later. So this is, let's say, the first. The last was Tokyo last year, the Olympic Games 21, which was very complicated event. It was full of doubt. Will it happen? Will it not happen? We reprogrammed it, I don't know how many times, 5, 6 times. But at the end, I must say, it was broadcasting, especially the pandemic, showed what broadcasting can do. And it was really an excellent coverage. And without the television, there would have been not such an attention to the Olympic Games in Tokyo. And in between events, so to say, Barcelona, to be part for the first time of a host broadcaster team. Then Atlanta, we had a European widescreen 16 by 9 project. This was done for the first time on an European level, and the project was led by ZDF, so that was a very interesting project for us and for me especially. And of course, host broadcasting events. We have been the host broadcaster for the Biathlon World Championships in Italy in 2007, and in 2009 in Berlin for the World Athletics Championships. And this was very challenging work, very complex work, but very, very fulfilling at the end.
Fantastic, yeah, amazing. And you've also seen, I mean, you mentioned which one? The 16
by 9.
16 by 9. So you would have seen a lot of technical and cultural changes in this time. So what really stood out for you?
Well, I'm not so old as the Queen, but also old enough to remember a lot of things. I mean, when I started, it was telex, it was typewriter, it was film, and it was 2-inch tapes. So I started from there, so rewriting scripts, I don't know how many times. Then the computer came, everybody was thinking it's getting much easier. Copy and paste business was absolutely not the case. And this is the uniqueness and the beauty of live sports broadcasting, that each event, no matter what it is, stands for itself, has its own problems, challenges, but also fulfilling. What then I would say influenced a lot the development in TV was the capability of the satellite transmissions, fiber, the expansion of these means, because that meant more content, that meant more channels, multi-channels, streaming services. Now we are talking about multi-clip feeds, we are talking about enhanced production. This was impossible years before. What I would also say was very important is the live view. Right. Technology, especially not from the beginning because it was not so reliable technically. But now you can really use it as a live transmission mean, and I think this changed a lot of the way of broadcasting are working. And also now the remote production, which is now more and more coming in, this will also significantly change our way of working. Yeah. If it's good or not, difficult to say now.
Give it a couple more years. Yeah. Oh, by the way, if you do have questions for Vili, please save them up because we'll do a little Q&A at the end. So you obviously know how to do your job brilliantly, but it's more about just understanding your role. You know, it's about understanding everything that's going on around you. So what is the importance of understanding everything?
Well, I was, as I said, an international sports coordinator, and the main role is to hold the threads together and to prioritize correctly. So you always have a bunch of questions and issues at the same time on the table, really to know what is now important and what can wait for another 5-6 months and to be solved then, because if you pose this question now, it will be a no and you will not come further. And what was also very important is because you were meeting different cultures, different business model, to be sensitive enough to understand that if you are working with a Japanese company, it's one way. If you're working with a Russian company, it's another way, or American. So this sensitivity and also the eagerness to learn something from a host country, to learn from their culture, to learn the people, this was a very important element for me.
Absolutely. And who's inspired you in your career? You know, you've learned a lot over the course of nearly 5 decades. So who are the people that have really influenced you and helped you guide?
Well, I can't name many people because it would be unjust if I name many, but I can name one person. This is Manolo Romero, who really, I started my career with him, and he pushed me in this direction. So he was the one from whom I learned that if you want to do a good job in television, you have to know all the fields of television. You have to really go into the details to see how complex this business is, and you have to want to work with the organizing committee, with other parties. So you have really also to try to change maybe the table, because it's very important for your own understanding to be on the host broadcaster side or on the organizing committee side, in order to understand that you as a client, a broadcaster, can place your requirements differently and also understand their answers. So he is one of the person, I must say, he is really the pioneer in our industry, and he made sport broadcasting what it is now. And another person is Francis Tellier, who, let's say, is the football side. And he also, when he did France 98, it was still a consortium, a different model of organizing a world championships. Later, it was transformed to HBS. And I must also say that the development in football and football broadcasting is immense over the last 2 decades.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah.
But there are, as I said, many, many professionals who inspired me, and I learned from each of them something.
Yeah. And finally, I'm sure many in the crowd would like some words of wisdom from you as a kind of mentor to them. So what are your top tips for people? It's a bit of a broad question, I know.
Well, my top tips are, I mean, we are witnessing that the industry is getting very, I don't know how to say it, specialized, but very shortly specialized in many, many elements. And I think that if you want to be successful in television, you have to go into the details, and you need to have this overall knowledge. It's good to have the specialist in all little fields, but I think it's very important to have the overall view. So I can only recommend, there are no stupid questions. If you don't know, just be interested, ask. You will always find somebody who can explain, who can help. And if you have the chance, try out different things, because my chance was that when I started in a small company, Bulgarian television, but the big advantage was I could try out many things. I could see where my strength is. I could see, well, this is okay, but there are others who are much better. So don't give up, and really try out different things and ask. Ask and try to understand. Never pass on an information which you don't understand fully. Better not to pass it than to have half a knowledge.
Absolutely, thank you. And before we finish, does anyone have a question for Vili? This is your chance, one chance only.
One question. It's an amazing and an illustrious career. Congratulations, 45 years, that's a long time. In terms of sporting moments that you would recall where you were involved in, have you got any sporting moments that you could share? You say, geez, I'm glad I was there to see that.
Well, I must say that for me, there was no Olympics if I'm not participating in the opening ceremony. So that was an absolute must, or to see at least one Olympic star. No way if there was, from a small country, from a big country, that doesn't matter. But to see your result, that yes, we have worked for this, and this is now the start, and this is the most important moment. And the same for football. I mean, I met a lot of interesting players, but I have not discussed with them how they are playing, but we were talking, of course, more human issues, let's say. And this was also very, very important.
Anybody else? Oh, I see a person over there.
Congratulations, Vili.
Thank you.
And it was lovely hearing all about it at the SVG event as well. So the other thing that you will have witnessed is all the technology firsts that have enhanced football, that have enhanced the Olympics, whether it's drones or underwater cameras or being able to track runners to within a millimetre distance is the one technological standout that you have felt has really enhanced sport.
Well, I think it's a different approach if you are talking, let's say, of a standard which has improved the host broadcasting production of the world feed. And it's different if you see it from a broadcaster perspective. I mean, it's admirable what OBS and also HBS and UEFA have achieved using these different add-ons to improve their production and to do the different kind of feeds and to be closer and closer to the actual athletes and to show them. But on the other hand, this is also sort of not always super welcome by the broadcaster, because the broadcaster still has his own view and he doesn't want to have it standardized for everybody. He wants to pick up his star or his favorite and to do it another way. So even when you see over the years that the broadcasting quality and standard is going more and more up, there must be an understanding that still broadcasters want to make their own add-ons. And I don't think that it is good that you restrict this. Because, as I said, the journalistic part is very important, and this is the freedom of each broadcaster. This cannot be dictated by the host broadcaster.
Fantastic. Any other questions? Oh, here we go. We're off.
Hi, Vili. Very happy to see you again. I've had a very short career compared to you. What would you be the soft skills we should work on, at least we shouldn't forget, to have a career as long as yours?
Oh.
Let's say to survive
I
a
think
broadcast as long as you did.
patience, going into the details, being willing to work hours and hours and nights, and being interested. I mean, not to be bored. If it's starting getting bored, do something else.
Hi, I want to follow up on the technological side. We are watching a lot of sports coverage coming from the virtual sets, using AR elements and doing teleportation, just suddenly connecting to a player on the ground and teleporting them into the studio. And I just want to know, what do you think about this technology on the viewer side and on the other side of as well?
I mean, if it's done good, I like it. If it's not that good, then I don't like it. And especially, well, you have to keep the balance. You have to keep the balance. Too much is not good.
Okay. Any other questions? Oh, there's one.
Go on, shout loud. Vili, when we were talking the other night, you said one of the things that you were looking forward to doing now in your career, or your life, is mentoring. So if any of these people, I'm sure they have been inspired by you, wanted to get in contact with you, how would they do that?
Well, they can contact me by email or calling me. I would never, all my life I was trying to help and assist broadcasters and people, and this was for me a benefit more even than for the other people, because when you see what kind of questions and what kind of problems are on the table and people are, let's say, trying to solve them, this is also helping you for the future to prevent such problems to arise. So anytime, no problem. If I can help, if I can give an advice or even a neutral opinion from the side, more than welcome.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for all the questions, and thank you so much, Vili. Give her a round of applause. And also delighted to announce as well that Vili has agreed to become the 12th member of the SVG. Oh, it sounds like I'm announcing the Avengers or something. But Vili's agreed to become the 12th member of the SVG Europe Women's Advisory Board. So if you do want to get in touch with her, my email is all over the internet, as you know, my phone number. So, you know, I'm happy to forward messages on to her so you can start talking and we're going to make the most of her, basically. Right, so on that final note, thank you very much for coming. The bar is open. Please drink, network, make some new contacts, get inspired. And come up with some cunning plans and some plots and go home like really fired up and ready to irritate people. Okay, thank you.